Over 100 people vanished. One word was left behind. Picture a man rowing towards shore at dusk. 3 years earlier, he left more than 100 people on this island, including his own daughter and his infant granddaughter. He sailed back with supplies, expecting a reunion. Instead, the settlement is silent, and something is carved into a wooden post. The place is Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina. In 1587, an English governor named John White helped plant a colony here. Homes, a fort, families. Then he sailed to England for supplies. When war delayed his return, 3 years passed before he could come back. By the time he lands, the colony is gone. Not burned to the ground, not littered with bodies, just empty. The houses have been taken apart. A defensive wall of tree trunks has been built where the village stood. And on one post, cut deep into the wood, is a single word, Croatoan. You need to understand what that word meant to White. Croatoan was a real place, an island to the south, and the name of a friendly people who lived there. Before he left, White had made an agreement with the colonists. If they moved, they would carve their destination. And if they left in distress, they would carve a cross above it. So look closely at the post. The word is there. The cross is not. By the colonists' own signal system, that absence says something specific. They did not leave in an emergency. They had time. Time to dismantle homes, time to plan, time to carve a calm message pointing anyone who returned toward Croatoan. White finds more. Some of his own belongings buried and dug up, chests broken open, maps and armor rusting in the damp. That points to visitors after the colonists left, people who searched the ground. But it is not the chaos of a massacre. There are no graves, no signs of a fight, no bodies at all. Now weigh the first explanation people reach for. A slaughter. The idea that a hostile group swept in and killed everyone. It is the simplest story and the darkest. But hold it against the post. A massacre leaves remains. It leaves burned timber and scattered dead. White searched and found none of that. A massacre also leaves no time for a tidy sign. If armed attackers overran the village, who stopped to carefully carve a word and deliberately leave off the distress cross? The calm of that post is the strongest argument against violence. The evidence on the ground simply does not match a sudden, deadly raid. So set that theory aside and turn to the word itself. Croatoan, it is not a riddle. It is a direction. The most straightforward reading is the one the colonists intended. They packed up and they moved south to Croatoan Island to live near the people they already trusted. This is where the friendly connection matters. On Croatoan lived a man named Mateo, who had traveled to England and back and knew the colonists well. A struggling settlement, low on food and cut off from home, might reasonably fold itself into a community that could feed and shelter it. That is not a mystery. That is survival. So why is this not the end of the story? Because White never checked. A storm rose as he tried to sail the short distance to Croatoan. His ships were battered, his crews exhausted, supplies running low. The weather drove him back out to sea and away from the one island that might have held every answer. Sit with that for a moment. He was close. Perhaps a day of good sailing from the people who could have told him where his family went, and the sea turned him around. White returned to England and never crossed the Atlantic again. The single clue was never followed to its end. That failure to check is why the simple answer never became the certain answer. Absence of proof let other theories grow. And the next one is quieter than a massacre, but just as final. The idea that the colonists did move and then slowly vanished into the land around them. Consider the pressures. These were farmers and tradespeople, not survivalists, dropped into an unfamiliar coast. Food ran short. The seasons were harsh. If they split into smaller groups and joined different native communities, the English colony would not die in a single day. It would simply dissolve, one family at a time, until there was no colony left to find. Here is the objection you are probably forming. If they assimilated, someone would have seen them. And that is exactly what makes the case linger. In the years that followed, scattered reports drifted back from the interior. Stories of people with lighter skin, talk of stone houses and of neighbors who could, it was said, read from books. Treat those reports with care. They are secondhand, filtered through translation and time, easy to exaggerate and impossible now to verify. But they are not nothing. They are the faint echo you would expect if a small group of English colonists had survived by blending into the people already living there. Now push on the assimilation theory the way we pushed on the massacre. Its weakness is proof. No confirmed English graves, no verified settlement, no single artifact that closes the case. The theory fits the calm post and the missing cross beautifully. It just cannot be nailed down. It explains the silence without ever breaking it. There is a harder possibility, and honesty requires naming it. The colonists may have started for Croatoan and never arrived. Small boats, open water, sudden storms. The same weather that turned whiteback could have swallowed a group crossing between islands. If that happened, the word on the post is not a solved clue. It is a plan that failed at sea. Weigh that against the evidence too. It fits the empty island and the lack of graves because the sea keeps no graves you can dig. But it rests entirely on what we cannot see. Like the other theories, it survives because Roanoke gave up so little, and because the one man who could have chased the truth was driven away by wind and water. So line the clues up one more time. An empty settlement, carefully dismantled, a word carved calm and deep. No cross, no bodies, no sign of a fight. A friendly island to the south and a storm that stopped anyone from reaching it. Every theory you have, Wade, bends around those same few facts. Notice what the strongest reading keeps returning to. The colonists left on their own terms and pointed the way. Whether they reached Croatoan, scattered inland, or were lost on the water, the post is not a scream. It is a message left by people who expected to be followed, by a man who could not follow in time. That is the real weight of Roanoke. Not a ghost story, but a gap. A place erased from the map by the slow accidents of weather and war and distance. And a single word that has outlasted every person who might explain it. The evidence points somewhere. It just never points all the way. We may never know which theory is true, and that uncertainty is the honest ending here. We can only lay the clues side by side and weigh them carefully without pretending the scale has settled. If you want to keep sitting with cases like this, where the record runs out before the answer does, subscribe and stay. So tell me one word: assimilation or shipwreck?